The locker rooms were louder than usual, not from celebration, from lectures. "You're their captain," Coach Ramirez said for what felt like the 5th time, arms crossed tight across his chest. "Captains don't disappear mid-match." Alara stood rigid in front of him, hands clasped behind her back like she could hold herself together through posture alone. Mud still streaked her socks. Her pulse still hadn't settled. Across the hall, muffled through concrete walls, another voice rose. Sharper, angrier. Vera's manager, same conversation, different tone. "You left your team exposed. Do you understand that?" Alara swallowed. "Yes, coach. You're lucky the defense held." Lucky. The word landed heavy. She nodded again, throat tight. "It won't happen again." Coach studied her for a long moment before sighing, disappointment softer now, but somehow worse. "I know how seriously you take this, Finch. That's why this is surprising." That was the problem. She did take it seriously. Always. Until tonight. Until a collision turned into breath against breath, hands gripping jerseys, the world shrinking to hazel eyes and heat and something reckless she hadn't stopped. Something she hadn't wanted to stop. "Go shower," he said finally. "Clear your head." Alara nodded quickly and turned before he could see the way her composure cracked. The corridor outside the locker rooms was nearly empty now, echoes fading as teams filtered out. She leaned briefly against the cool wall, closing her eyes. Her chest still felt tight. Not from running, from memory, the tunnel. Vera's hand at her waist, the shock of it, the kiss sudden and desperate and wrong in every way that made it impossible to forget. Alara dragged a hand down her face. Reckless. That's what it had been. She couldn't afford reckless. Not here. Not now. Football wasn't just a game to her. It was structure, stability, proof she deserved to be here at all. Every practice, every grade, every match stacked carefully like something that could collapse if she slipped even once. And tonight? She'd slipped. Because of Vera Blackwood. Because she'd kissed her back. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Alara straightened instantly. Vera rounded the corner, hair still damp from a rushed shower, jacket slung over one shoulder. She slowed the second she saw her. For a moment, neither spoke. The air shifted, charged, fragile. Vera's usual smirk didn't quite form. "Guess we both survived the execution." Alara looked away first. "We shouldn't have left the field." A beat. "That's what you're worried about?" Vera asked quietly. Alara's jaw tightened. "It matters." Something flickered across Vera's face, annoyance, maybe hurt, before she masked it with a shrug. "Relax, Finch. One bad decision isn't the end of the world. For you, maybe." Alara didn't say it aloud. Instead, she pushed off the wall. "It won't happen again." The words came out too fast, too firm. Vera stilled. "Right," she said after a second, voice lighter than her eyes. "Good to know." Silence stretched between them, thick with everything neither of them named. Alara stepped past her. The moment their shoulders brushed, heat sparked again. Unwanted, undeniable. She kept walking, didn't look back. Behind her, Vera stood motionless in the hallway long after she'd gone, staring at the space Alara left behind. They didn't talk about it. Not the kiss, not the wall, not the way neither of them slept that night. At college, Alara avoided Vera with surgical precision, changing seats last minute, packing up early, slipping out between conversations. She stopped going to the library at their usual time. Vera noticed. Of course she did. It irritated her more than she liked to admit. Alara Finch, who never ran from anything, was suddenly gone like smoke, and Vera hated that she was the one chasing ghosts now. She caught herself staring at the empty chair across the lecture hall. Doesn't matter, she told herself. It was a mistake. A stupid, adrenaline-fueled mistake. So why did it feel unfinished? As the avoidance continued. So did Vera's irritation. When Alara stopped looking her way, Vera made sure to sit where she couldn't be ignored. When Alara packed up early, Vera lingered, stretching conversations, asking pointless questions, finding excuses to stay in her orbit just a little longer. The project they'd already been assigned together became her easiest excuse. But even that wasn't enough. Every time Vera brought it up, the responses she would get were the same. Alara hadn't even looked up properly. "We'll split the work. Send me your part when it's done." Short, efficient, distant. No teasing, no bite, no spark, just space. The irritation kept growing under Vera's skin. Vera told herself it was about control, about not letting Finch think she could just disappear on her. But every clipped reply tightened something in her chest. She could feel Alara slipping just out of reach, and she hated it. Hated it more than she thought she hated Alara, because hatred had been simple, predictable. This quiet avoidance, this polite detachment, it unsettled her. And if this was really just about control, she wouldn't have started trying in class. The first time Vera raised her hand in class, people laughed. The second time, they stopped. By the third week, even Professor Hale looked surprised. Alara noticed it too. Vera's notes, actually taken. Her arguments, sharp and structured. The way she no longer skipped readings. "You trying to impress someone?" one of Vera's friends joked. Vera shrugged, trying not to fail. But her gaze flicked almost involuntarily toward Alara. Still distant, still careful, still pretending nothing had changed in the tunnel. When Vera slid into her seat beside Alara one morning, uninvited, Alara stiffened. "You're in my space," Alara said quietly. Vera leaned closer anyway. "Relax. I thought you liked being challenged." Alara shot her a look. "You're doing this on purpose." Vera smiled. "Maybe." And that scared Alara more than the bullying ever had. Vera tilted her head, studying her reaction like it amused her. "What?" she said lightly. "You miss the old version of me?" Before Alara could respond, Vera reached out and snatched her glasses right off her face. "Hey!" Alara's hand shot out instinctively. Vera stood, lifting the glasses just out of reach, arm extended lazily above her head. "Careful," she teased. "You're gonna knock something over." Alara scowled, stepping closer, fingers brushing Vera's wrist as she tried to grab them back. "Give them back." "Or what?" She reached again. Too close. Alara could smell her. Clean sweat, something sharp and familiar. Her heart started pounding, not from anger, but from the sudden awareness of how little space there was between them. "Why are you doing this?" Alara asked quietly. The question wasn't sharp this time. It was honest. Vera froze. For just a moment, the teasing slipped. "Who knows?" Vera said after a beat, voice lower now. "Maybe I want your attention." Alara swallowed. "Or maybe," Vera continued, eyes locked on hers, "I'm tired of you pretending I don't exist." The words landed heavier than any insult ever had. Vera stepped back just enough to break the spell, dangling the glasses between her fingers. Her smirk returned, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "If you want these back," she said casually, "meet me at the library. Usual time." She closed her fingers around the glasses instead of handing them over, already stepping back. Alara's hand hovered uselessly in the air. Vera paused at the aisle, glancing over her shoulder with a crooked smile. "Try not to avoid me this time." Then she walked away, with Alara's glasses still in her hand. Alara didn't move for a long time after Vera left. The room felt wrong without her glasses, edges blurred, faces indistinct, the world suddenly too loud and too close. She pressed her palms flat against the desk, breathing through the tightness in her chest. "She can't do this," Alara told herself. "I won't let her. She could report it, tell the professor, demand her property back." The thought tasted hollow, because that would mean admitting how easily Vera had gotten under her skin. All afternoon, Alara tried to focus. She copied notes she couldn't properly see, read sentences twice, 3 times without absorbing them. Every time the door opened, her heart jumped. Stupid, traitorous thing that it was. Usual time. Vera had said it like it was a given, like Alara would show up, like she already knew the answer. Alara hated that part most of all. By the time the last lecture ended, her head was pounding. She stood in the hallway, bag clutched tight, staring down the corridor that led away from the library. She turned the other way, took 3 steps, stopped. Her glasses were with Vera. So was the explanation she'd been pretending she didn't need. Ilara exhaled shakily and turned back, feet carrying her in the opposite direction, despite every instinct screaming at her not to. This is just practical, she told herself as the library doors came into view. I'm not doing this for her. But her heart was already racing, and deep down, Ilara knew. She wasn't just going to get her glasses back. She was walking straight into whatever Vera Blackwood had decided to start. The library lights hummed softly overhead. Ilara hesitated just inside the entrance, heart pounding, breath shallow. Then she saw her. Vera sat at their usual table, alone. Ilara's glasses rested in front of her, spinning lazily under one finger. Her gaze wasn't smug this time, just distant, unfocused, like she'd been waiting longer than she meant to. For a second, Ilara simply watched. Then she squared her shoulders and walked over. Why are you doing this? Vera looked up, startled enough that the glasses stopped spinning. Her fingers closed around them instinctively. You came, she said instead. That's not an answer. Ilara stopped across from her, hands clenched at her sides. You don't get to steal my things and decide when I show up. So, why? Vera leaned back in her chair, masking the flicker of something real behind her eyes. Relax, I borrowed them. You took them, Ilara snapped, and you know exactly what you're doing. Vera studied her, really studied her now, the tension in her posture, the way her jaw was set too tight. You want the truth? Vera asked quietly. Yes. Vera exhaled, rubbing the back of her neck. Because you keep avoiding me. That's not a reason. It is when you won't even look at me anymore. Ilara's breath caught. You bullied me for months. You don't get to be upset that I don't want you near me. I know, Vera said quickly, too quickly. And I'm not pretending I didn't. The admission hung between them. Then why now? Ilara demanded. Why me? Vera glanced down at the glasses in her hand, turning them over once. Because you stopped reacting, and I didn't like that. Ilara frowned. That's it? No, Vera said. It's not. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice dropping. Because you challenge me. Because you don't look at me like everyone else does. Because when you ignore me, it feels like I'm losing something I didn't know I wanted. Ilara stared at her, pulse roaring in her ears. This isn't a game, Ilara said softly. You don't get to pull me in just because you're bored. Vera swallowed. I'm not bored. Silence stretched. Vera slid the glasses across the table, slowly this time, deliberately stopping short of Ilara's reach. I don't know what this is, Vera said, but I'm not trying to hurt you. Ilara didn't move to take them. Then stop, she said, or tell me the truth. Vera met her gaze, expression stripped bare for once. I don't want you to disappear on me, she said. The honesty unsettled her more than any taunt ever had. Silence settled between them. The library felt smaller now, the air too still. Ilara stared at Vera like she was trying to solve a problem that refused to behave logically. You don't get to say things like that, Ilara said finally. Her voice wasn't sharp, just strained. Not after everything. I know, Vera replied. She didn't look away. That's why I'm saying it now. Ilara exhaled slowly, grounding herself. Then stop making this harder. I don't know how, Vera said, honest in a way that scared them both. You walk past me like I don't exist, and I let you. And then, she gestured vaguely, frustrated. I miss you. The word hung there. Ilara's throat tightened. You don't miss me. You miss the fight. Vera shook her head. No, I miss this. She tapped the edge of the table between them. You pushing back, you looking at me like you see through me. Ilara's gaze dropped to Vera's mouth before she could stop herself. She caught it. Of course she did. Vera's voice softened. If you tell me to stop, I will. Ilara should have said it. She should have reached across the table, taken her glasses, and walked away. Instead, Vera stepped closer. Alara's back met the edge of a bookshelf before she fully realized she'd been guided there. The narrow aisle suddenly too tight to breathe in. Their cheeks brushed, barely, but it sent a shiver straight down Alara's spine. Vera leaned in, voice low, careful, nothing like her usual taunts. "Tell me I wasn't the only one who felt it," she murmured. That kiss didn't feel like nothing. Alara didn't answer. She couldn't. Admitting it out loud felt like crossing a line she'd never be able to redraw, but her body betrayed her anyway, her hand tightening in Vera's shirt, fingers curling into the fabric like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Vera inhaled sharply at the contact. "This doesn't happen," Vera said quietly, "if all you feel for me is hate." Alara's grip tightened, and that was answer enough. Their breaths mingled. No rush, no heat, just awareness, humming and unbearable. "This isn't a good idea," Alara murmured. "I know," Vera said. Neither of them moved. Vera lifted a hand slowly, not touching, just hovering, giving Alara every chance to pull away. Alara didn't. So Vera leaned in. The kiss was tentative, almost careful, a question, not a demand. Alara froze for half a heartbeat, then she kissed her back. Soft, uncertain, real. When they pulled apart, it was barely an inch, both of them breathing harder than they should have been. "This doesn't leave this room," Alara said quietly. Vera nodded. "Of course." Alara reached for her glasses at last, slipping them on with trembling fingers. Neither of them smiled. Neither of them said goodbye. And when Alara walked away this time, she knew. Whatever this was, it had already crossed a line neither rivalry nor reason could pull back from. The walk back to her dorm felt longer than it should have. Alara kept her pace steady, even when her thoughts refused to do the same. The kiss replayed in fragments, not the moment their lips met, but the hesitation before it, the way Vera had waited, the way Alara hadn't pulled away. That was the part she couldn't rationalize. Anger she understood. Adrenaline too. But this had been slow. Deliberate. Chosen. She pressed her thumb against the edge of her notebook until it hurt, grounding herself in something solid. It doesn't mean anything, she told herself. It can't. But that night, when she lay awake staring at the ceiling, she kept thinking about how close Vera's voice had been, how soft, and how easily she'd let her stay there. The memory lingered, warm breath against her ear, the low edge of Vera's voice stripped of its usual teasing sharpness. Not mocking, not challenging, just close. Alara turned onto her side, pressing her face into the pillow as if she could smother the thought before it settled deeper. Her phone rang. The sound cut clean through the quiet. She froze. The name glowing on the screen made her stomach tighten instantly. Mother. Alara sat up at once, posture straightening before she even answered, as though the woman on the other end could see her. "Hello, Mother." Her mother's voice came through crisp and composed, every syllable measured. Even over the phone, she carried the same controlled authority she did in person, the tone of someone accustomed to being listened to, successful, exacting. A woman whose life ran on schedules, expectations, and results earned through relentless work. "Alara, I hope I didn't interrupt your studying." "No," Alara said quickly. "I just finished reviewing today's material." "Good." A brief pause followed, not empty but evaluative, as if her mother were already assessing her through silence alone. "How are your grades progressing?" "They're strong," Alara replied. "I'm maintaining top marks." "You understand consistency matters more than early performance," her mother said calmly. "If they begin to slip, we will need to reassess." Alara's grip tightened slightly around the phone. "Yes, Mother." "And football?" she continued. "You were made captain this year, correct?" Alara hesitated. Just a fraction too long. Images flashed uninvited. The tunnel, the kiss, the shouting coaches, the disappointment in her manager's voice. She swallowed. "Everything is going well," she said evenly. "The team is performing strongly. I'm managing my responsibilities." "Good," her mother replied, satisfaction threading through the word. Leadership suits you when you apply yourself properly. Alara nodded automatically, even though she couldn't be seen. Yes. I hear the finals are coming up soon, her mother said, her voice calm but precise. That is correct, Alara replied. A brief pause followed, measured and deliberate. Then make sure it doesn't interfere with your academics, her mother continued. I know football matters to you, but your education determines your future. If your grades begin to suffer, you will step back from it. Is that understood? Alara felt her shoulders tense as she listened. Yes, Mother. Good. I'll be checking in on your progress, she added smoothly, as though the matter were already settled. I expect everything to be in order. I understand, Alara said, voice precise and steady. I'll make sure it is. Excellent. Keep focused, Alara. The call ended shortly after, efficient, purposeful, without lingering sentiment. Alara lowered the phone slowly. The room felt quieter afterward, heavier. She exhaled, the breath leaving her in a long, controlled sigh as tension finally slipped from her shoulders. Her hands fell into her lap, fingers curling loosely as the weight of the conversation settled back over her. The agreement? Moving here for university had never been unconditional. Her mother had agreed only because Alara had proven she could excel, top of her class, exceptional in every extracurricular, disciplined enough to justify independence. She had to be the best. Anything less meant reassessment, correction, going home, private education, structure chosen for her instead of by her. Everything she had here, the campus, the team, the life she was building, depended on maintaining perfection. And Vera Blackwood threatened all of it. Reckless, careless, unpredictable. A distraction that turned discipline into impulse, focus into heat, decisions into mistakes she couldn't afford. Alara closed her eyes. The kiss had been a moment, a lapse, a fleeting spark born from adrenaline and proximity. Nothing more. It had to be nothing more. She couldn't risk losing everything for something so unstable. Slowly, she pulled the blanket higher and stared back at the ceiling, resolve settling into place where uncertainty had been. She needed distance. She needed control. She needed to remember her priorities. And Vera Blackwood could not be one of them. The next day was worse. They didn't speak in class. They didn't even look at each other. Alara took notes furiously, pen scratching too hard against the page. Every time Vera shifted in her seat, Alara felt it anyway, like awareness had replaced sight. Across the aisle, Vera sat perfectly still. She hadn't slept either. The quiet kiss haunted her in a way the angry one never had. There was no excuse to hide behind this time, no heat of the moment justification, just the memory of Alara choosing her back. Vera had never been good with things she couldn't joke away, so she didn't. She didn't tease, didn't smirk, didn't provoke. She watched Alara leave class without a word and felt something uncomfortably close to loss settle in her chest. On the field, everything fractured. They played like strangers who knew each other too well. Passes were sharper, tackles cleaner, but something essential was missing. No taunts, no lingering looks. When they collided, they separated instantly, like contact itself was a mistake. Both teams noticed. By halftime, frustration bled into the game. Alara missed a pass she never should have. Vera hesitated, just once, and it cost her. They locked eyes across the field, breathless, unsettled. This wasn't rivalry. This was avoidance dressed up as discipline. After practice, Vera found herself in the empty locker room, hands braced against the bench, staring at nothing. Say something, she told herself. But what? Sorry felt insufficient, pretending felt impossible, and wanting felt dangerous. Across campus, Alara sat at her desk, project notes untouched. She'd built her life on control, on rules and structure and knowing where she stood. Now there was a variable she couldn't solve for. She hated that it mattered. She hated more that it already did. They passed each other that evening near the quad. No one else around. No noise to hide behind. Vera stopped. Alara. Alara paused. Didn't turn around. Yes? Vera swallowed. We can't keep pretending that didn't happen. Silence stretched between them. Then Ilara turned, slowly, carefully. Her expression was guarded, but her eyes were honest in a way that made Vera's chest tighten. "I know," Ilara said. "And?" Vera asked quietly. Ilara exhaled, "And I don't know what to do with that." For the first time, Vera didn't have a comeback. She nodded once. "Me neither." They stood there, caught between what they'd been and what they were becoming, neither willing to step away, and neither brave enough to step forward yet. But the line had already been crossed, and this time, there was no pretending it hadn't been. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the story so far. Don't forget to like and leave a comment. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on what chaos we have in store for the next part. Your support really helps the channel out, so thank you.